Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Album Homework Assignment, our Sunday morning program. We've got in the captain's chairs today the rematch you've all been waiting for. Simon Bray versus Stephen Reid. I am really looking forward to seeing what you guys get this time. I smell a little revenge coming this time around, right? Maybe not. So
I've been stuffed again. I've been 100% stuffed. I tried to stuff him, but he's really stuffed me again.
I think Stephen likes everything. That's the problem, right? So all right. So since Simon sounds like he got the shaft potentially once again, I'm going to have Simon go first today and talk about whatever his assignment was.
Is Stephen not doing his thing first? Do you want to thank someone?
I can do my thing first if you'd like. Yes, okay, I'll get that out of the way. And I mean that in a much more positive way than it's going to sound, because one of our regular viewers, Peter Sim, has been kind enough to, on the back of the Uriah Heep unboxing video that we did, Peter happened to mention that there was an old Uriah Heep compilation that was really only in the kind of Australian market many moons ago, 1974. He was kind enough to source one for me. So it's the imaginatively, well, it's going to be a long night, titled Down Under. Very heavy, very humble Down Under by Uriah Heep. So it is a double album compilation. It's a thing of absolute beauty. It's in remarkable condition.
Wow.
It's very cool indeed. And Peter also sent me something I've never heard of for a little bit of a listen. This is Temptress, not Temptress, Temptress. And they are an Australian heavy metal female-fronted band who've been on the go for, Peter's got me a nice letter here, about 20 years. This is, I think, their 6th album. So I'm very much looking forward to giving that a listen. And I may talk about that in the future as well, if Peter's kind enough to let me babble on even more than I already do. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you very much for that. It's hugely appreciated.
Thank you, Peter. Good stuff. All right. I like the look of that Uriah Heep.
Yeah, that's the thing of beauty, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. So speaking of things of beauty, Simon, what is that musical slab of brilliance that you've been given by Mr. Reid to listen to for the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think more than anything, Stephen's trying to test whether or not I can get this channel banned. Aren't you, Stephen? Yes, you are. You're trying to see what creative ways can Simon use to discuss what I've sent him.
I was wondering if this might be the first video on Sea of Tranquility that is demonetized.
Yeah, actually, it's happened a couple times already, so it wouldn't be the first. Right. Yeah, it hasn't happened too many times, but it's happened a few times. Yeah,
it's distinctly possible. But somebody as tactful as Simon may or may not be able to get through this assignment without taking us down that path. But I doubt it very much.
You're laughing now, Peter, but this is going to come back. This is coming your way. It really is. Now, let's begin properly, shall we? So it's no secret to anybody who's vaguely sentient that Stephen likes the Wild Hearts. He likes Ginger Wild Heart. He likes all forms of Wild Heart-based spin-offs. See, look at him nod like a dog. He's really pleased with himself, isn't he? Yes, he is. And he initially sent me this thing. He said, "Can you find this?" So I went to Spotify. He said, "Yes, Stephen. Yes, I can find this. This is not a problem." Click download Crowd Going Wild. Don't think about it for a while. Then when I thought, well, I've got some space in my hectic schedule to listen to this. Turns out it's not on Spotify. Okay, right. Now, it might be because of the name of the artist. who really is Ginger Wildheart. Am I right? I'm right, aren't I?
You're right. Yes.
He
Yeah.
didn't put this out under the name of Ginger Wildheart, did he? No,
No.
Stephen, he didn't. He put it out under the name of Howling Willie. There is.
Willie.
There you go. Have you done that? You're a beautiful guy. Howling Willie. Worst word in the world that begins with C.
I can show it if we want, because they actually came with this little flap here so that they could sell it in the shops.
No. But you know what? I feel like it might be about to get worse. But anyway, just for context, here's my collection of things that I've got or that I know about Ginger and the Wild Hearts. Okay, I've got the Wild Hearts Must Be Destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure why I've got. I think I like, was Vanilla Radio the single?
Yes. Yeah.
I liked that.
Great song.
Listen to it the other day. Yeah, but some kind of like beatly kind of melodies. It's all right. There's a reason why I haven't listened to it in the last, how old is it? 19 years since it came out.
About 20 years for that one. Yeah.
Just while I lift all the rest of my collection of Ginger Wildheart based stuff, I've also got Super Shit 666.
Oh, that's an unusual one to have.
Which is 100% the dogs you know what. This is proper
Wow.
kick-ass, sleazy rock and roll. It's got Ginger, it's got Dragon from the Backyard Babies. It's got Guy from the Helicopters as well. It's really good. Really proper, the kind of stuff that you would expect to see on a website or a webzine or a YouTube channel like Sea of Tranquility. It's got the absolutely cracking "You Smell Canadian" on it. It's nowhere near as weird as where we're going. And it's also got Star Wars on it, the Star Wars, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think it ended up on a Backyard Babies album. And they take out Crank It Up by the Rods and give it a right good kick in. It's a great record. I like it. I really like it. But thus endeth my knowledge of Ginger from the Wild Hearts. And then I got Howling Willie's World of Filth. Stephen, as my homework assignment.
You did, yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You're so kind.
Pleasure was all mine.
Kind person. It has been described as the most offensive album ever written.
I'm not going to argue too hard with that.
Yeah. I mean, let's delve deep into the song titles, shall we? Feels though we should. 5 Million Ways to Kill Your Baby, and by that, I think he actually means his woman, as opposed to his actual baby. But don't worry, he's likely to go there in the lyrics as it is. Your heart belongs to Jesus, but your ass belongs to me. A little bit of gravy, and you don't want to know.
Oh, come on, that's my favourite lyric on the album.
Where the gravy goes, or who licks it off. You just don't want it. Nope. Say it with herpes. I mean, why would you do that? Why? Why would you do that? Darling in the garden, that doesn't sound too bad, does it?
She's under the garden.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Homosexual punch bag in a wheelchair. This is where we're about to get banned. Okay, I'm not going with who's on the meat hook, but suffice to say, it's spectacularly not woke, shall we say? Caffeine Bomb, which I think is actually a cover.
It's a Wild Heart song.
Yeah. We'll skip track 9. We might skip. No. I'd rather have no.
In your player?
No. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. In your player? No.
That's just no. And going home to Satan. Right. So here's the weird stuff. Okay. you look down your list of potential offensive things and you go blasphemy, tick. Sexual deviance, tick, 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 tick. Yeah. And then you think, really? We're in country music mode here, right? I mean, are we in swing mode? You know, is it like a really big, weird take on Bob Wills or something? I don't know. My knowledge of country isn't particularly wide, you know. But I would suggest that this is in the same way that Steel Panther can parody and ape hair metal. Ginger can ape classic country music, and musically, it's all right. It's fine. You know, you can see, you know, all the things that you're expecting the country music genre are there. And you got your steel guitars, you've got your pedal steel, you've got kind of bluegrassy kind of.
That's nearly in it, isn't it? Nearly.
I feel like I'm describing it well. I feel like there's nobody else out there in the world, Stephen, that might like it that doesn't like the Wild Hearts. I'm just saying. I can honestly think, you know, the comments down below, people are going to say, "Well, I'm not feeling that one," especially not in you know your more conservative kind of places. What it does do, though, is it really turns the values of country music right on its head, you know, because country music's really about, you know, having those strong conservative kind of values, isn't it? And this just doesn't have them. It really doesn't have them. It is colossally offensive if that's the way you choose to take it. Now, I'll tell you now, the me of 20 years ago would have thought this is like the funniest thing I've ever heard. I would have been wetting myself and listen to it and buying it and everything. But and I'm not saying that there aren't many fine qualities on this, but I've heard this. This is Otis Lee Crenshaw's Tennessee, London, not Tennessee. I think is that the way around? Yeah, London, not Tennessee, where he improvs and riffs in country music songs and deals with some of the similar kind of, you know, how far can I push the envelope? Well, Ginger's got the envelope on this one, and he shoved it right through Satan's mailbox. He really, really has. He's just, gee, oh my God, I mean, Stephen, why? What's wrong with you? What made you think that nice middle class me, that's him a nice middle class, I would want to listen to this? Well, World of Filth. Well, why? Why would you do that to me?
I don't know. I thought you could maybe relate to Colombian linemen. No.
Well, I've got things to say about that. Don't you worry about it.
I'm amazed that there's not stuff on here that resonates with you. I'd rather have in my ass than have you in my heart.
No.
No.
No, I feel like I understand the sentiments, but you know, just no. Just I would say that I did wake up yesterday morning and I had 5 million ways to kill you, baby, in my head for the rest of the day, and that's just a weird thing. It's a right earworm, isn't it? You know, and I really like what I really actually do like about it is the vocal performance is, you know, just like grim, but really good. You know, it reminds me of Blaine Cartwright from Nashville Pussy, that kind of which I like. The best two tracks are the parodies of actual proper songs. So there's a parody of Country Roads, which is about bad drivers, and he calls them something that sounds a bit like country roads. People,
yes, it rhymes with dunce on roads.
It does indeed rhyme with stunts, and I absolutely 100% when the first time I was listening to Colombian Lineman, when he initially says I chopped a line out for I was ruffling all over the streets of East London, because, you know, I can't imagine was John Denver dead by that point? Because I bet he wishes he was when did that. I mean, yeah. Glenn Campbell's well alive at that point, was he, until fairly recently. They are pretty funny, and it is the work of somebody that intricately knows and understands the genre and can play around with it, certainly with the lyrical conventions. And the music itself is actually pretty straight, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
yeah,
straight.
there are a few moments where they go off piste, shall we say?
Mostly it's just proper,
Yeah.
Western swingy kind of country music. It's almost like you're from the UK, aren't you? So almost as if like the Mac lads played country music, yeah, but without. In fact, there's even a song about gravy.
Yes, there's even a song about gravy. Yes,
Gravy,
absolutely.
So, yeah, I realise this is now a little bit parochial, isn't it? If we're
the
talking,
Mac lads may well be a little niche for some. Yes.
yeah. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I have listened to it a lot, and I have actually chosen to put it on when I'm walking the dog and other stuff like that. I don't. If I was offended, and it really does take a lot to offend me, I can imagine that people will be thinking the hand of a child might be a little bit offensive. Because if you think what the hand of a child can, holy shit, he's not going to go, oh God, he's gone now. He's gone there. But there is that tradition of actually songwriters placing themselves in the role of people that do bad things.
Yes.
That's the only way I can get him out of this particular situation. Just wow. When I was listening to that, I'm thinking, he's not. Oh, he is. But ultimately, that is what abusers do. They separate people from their friends, from their family, and put the onus on the victim, don't they? Whether or not it actually fits with some of the comedic stuff on the rest of it, yeah. Which kind of begs the question: is this a one joke album? It is. Is it a one-off as his thing?
In fairness to Ginger, he has in more recent years released a couple of country-based albums that are country-based albums, and they're very good. Right. Ghost in the Tanglewood was the one that stuck with me, and he just completely comes away from type and does a country album, and it comes from the heart. I saw him on that tour, means a lot to him, did it really well. That is, and I'll cover a little bit on the cover, that is not what this is. That is not what this is. I mean, and just in case you were wondering, Simon, and thankfully, Peter, the type is very small. It does come with lyrics.
I'm surprised they're not all redacted.
None of it's redacted, not a single one. I mean, I can, and this is some of the tame stuff that's on here. So I will read you probably just the opening line from A Little Bit of Gravy, which does open with "A little bit of gravy helps the dog lick my balls," and it kind of goes from there.
That's quite the start.
That's quite the start. Yeah, that's the opening to that tale. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you'll find that most of the song titles are intentionally thoroughly offensive. I mean, the warning on the front of the album says, "Warning, contains deeply offensive material on all levels." No, really. And it really
Every
does.
level imaginable.
And it's meant to be funny. It's meant to be funny. This is not someone who's sympathizing with any of these circumstances or situations. It's a complete and utter piss take. It's what it is. It works at points, and there are maybe 2, maybe 3 songs on the album that you just think, oh, even however long ago it was released, I can't remember now, 2008. It's not that long ago, actually. Even then you think,
That's the campus thing I've ever seen, by the way.
You just can't do that. that is one thing. This is not a camp album, is it?
No, at least you've read some lyrics out. So these lyrics that I was going to read out, I'm just going to put them on side. Not read them out because you went. No, it's okay. It's okay. You went through it yourself. So, going back to is it a one joke kind of album? I think it probably is. But then, aren't Tenacious D, aren't Steel Panther, and yet they've made like hundreds of albums, haven't they? And in my research, it sold out pretty quickly, didn't it? When it went into the shops, when people could find it, it just went.
And I mean, I was lucky to find a copy of it because I think I had to venture to one of the bigger cities in Scotland, of which there are one, two, possibly that's offended half of Scotland there, to find it because it was impossible to kind of get ordered into to anywhere near me. And it was one of those, you find it, you go buy it now rather than keep looking, because you go back, it would have been gone. And he has played the occasional show as Howling Willie.
Howling Willie.
I mean, I'm prepared to. It's definitely interesting.
Do you know that there are little nuances, and it's not a nuanced album. This is an album that is so in your face all the way through that you can't see anything else while it's playing. But there are little nuances that tick boxes for me. When you've got, it goes into a banjo solo, and you think, oh, it's going to go into Deliverance, it's going to go into dueling banjos, and it goes, and I still can't quite work out whether whoever it is that says, because there are other people on the album too, oh shit, well I got that wrong, and that's kept in, and they just don't go back to that. You think, well, was it planned, or is that actually the take that went wrong and they thought that's perfect for this album?
Warts and all, yep.
Yeah, and I do love in the, and one of the titles that I can read out, but I probably can't read out many lyrics on it, White Guys, okay. I do love the fact that the guitar solo is the theme tune to the Rockford Files. I can do the whole of Rockford Files if you want. I could even do the phone message if you want. I'm not going to. And then later in the album, that is revisited, but they also give you a snippet, I think, of the Fall Guy. I think that Sweet Child of Mine's in there. It's bizarre.
Sounds pretty bizarre. That sounds
pretty... Yeah. I went with interesting. Yeah. Do you know, if it was a fictional character, this album would be Logan Roy from Succession. Just in case anybody gets that reference, you know, it's very, very sweary. Very, very sweary, super sweary. Did he set out to make, and I quote, the most offensive album of all time?
Oh yes, absolutely. This wasn't stumbled across by accident.
Yeah, very much job done.
Anyone that knows Ginger's career will tell you that, one, this album doesn't represent him. This is not what he's about. These are not things that he believed in. But they'll also tell you that he'll do things that just make you go, huh? Pardon? Do you know? And quite a lot of them. And this is one of the biggest ones. I mean, the first project band, whatever you want to call it, that he had after the Wild Hearts split for the first time, they may just have split again last week, by the way, everyone, live on social media. They did.
I was unaware of that.
I mean, completely fall apart in public. Band members falling out with band members, announced on stage in Inverness that this was the last ever Wild Hearts gig. Again, yes, yeah. So this sort of drama follows this band around, but the first time that they stopped being a band, I mean, the project title was Clam Abuse. Okay, so I mean, there's a very loose euphemism there, shall we say. So to try and then further your career, that's not necessarily the safest move that you're ever going to make. I can't imagine the new single from Clam Abuse being played on Radio 1, for example. So he does like to throw things out there that are, I mean, this was released on Round Records, that's his label. So, which is what most of his stuff comes out on now, it has to be said. But yeah, this was just having a bit of fun, I think.
Cool. Well, I guess the poses the question now. Simon, how much fun did you have with this? Would you buy this? Would you maybe just listen to it online occasionally on Spotify, or would you, after today's episode, forget all about this?
Well, as I can't listen to it on Spotify, and you pretty much, well, you certainly can't like pop out and buy a physical copy. You can get it on Bandcamp, can't you?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but see, I've no need to buy it or stream it or anything because Stephen sent me a WeTransfer of it, so that's where it will remain on my phone forever. You see what I did there? I sidestepped the question. Didn't
You did. You added like a fourth option, right? Yes.
I? That's where I sit.
All righty then. So I guess that's kind of a positive, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if I hadn't heard other parodic versions of country songs quite a while ago, I wouldn't laugh. I mean, I did laugh myself stupid at times. I really did. But we live in a society where you're told you can't have fun, you can't say this, you can't say. Well, Ginger certainly did say that, didn't he? He said lots
A lot more, right?
Oh yeah.
He's not pushing boundaries on this album. He is obliterating them.
Yeah, I guess so.
In the worst taste that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
But it's great fun and thoroughly cringeworthy at the same time. I'll freely admit that. I mean, this is not my favourite Ginger Wildheart release by any great shakes. And I will be completely honest with Simon and say that I listened to this album today, this afternoon, and that's probably the first time I have in around 10 years.
I think he gave you this out because he wanted to hear this. The last half hour, he wanted this, right? Yep. Oh man, I smell a part 3 of this coming up.
I just want to go on record as saying, Stephen Reid, I have never liked you. I've never liked you less than I do right at this very moment.
I think that's a reasonable reaction.
Yeah. So in saying all that, Stephen, what did Simon give you?
Well, the last time that we got together for a little chinwag about an album that we'd never heard before, I sent Simon something that genuinely means a lot to me, and it happened to be Japanese metal. Now, it seemed to create quite a bit of consternation because it was impossible to find out basically anything about the band at all, even down to what the albums were really called. So
track 1, good old track 1.
I think track 5 was my favourite actually, but yes.
Very much so, yeah.
So I expected something in kind back, and that's maybe why I World of Filthed Simon, because I expected to be hit with something wild and crazy. And if you like Japanese metal, well, fair enough. But if you like Chinese metal, well, this is now your wheelhouse, because I've got Chinese metal. Okay, not just Chinese metal. Now, anyone that watches the show regularly will know that the glasses only tend to go on either when we're doing in the prog seat and I'm still sitting at 2:45 some mornings going, prog? Okay. Or
prog, how about sleep? That's what I need, right?
Yeah, so I can paint eyes on them. Or when I have a story to read. I have stories to read today, so if people would indulge me, I will tell you that Dream Spirit, which is the name of the band, arose at the foot of the second mountain Taishan in the city of Tai'an, where the rich heritage of traditional Chinese culture runs in the veins of local inhabitants through generations. With the friendship deep-rooted in their childhood, both lead vocalist Shunzi and lead guitarist Bao found their peace and passion in heavy metal. Dream Spirit was born out of the love for Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Steve Vai, they sound like none of them, and foremost, especially by the legendary Chinese rock band Tang Dynasty. To pursue their dream, the duo relocated to Beijing in 2011, where their focus on melodies in typical Chinese scales and poetic words attracted like-minded musicians to complete the lineup. That's their words, not mine, I may add. Okay. This is the sort of territory that we are in here. So this is Dream Spirit. They're Chinese metal. They are, and I will, if Simon will allow me to use this copyrighted terminology, they are slightly power metal-y. Okay? But slightly. But they've got quite obvious folk elements. But clearly, Troy Donockley was not let loose on this album. There's nobody going on this, or on a Julian pipe. So this is Chinese folk that we've got. So we have instruments like, and I apologize to anyone that knows how to pronounce any of this, okay, a digi or a jiao. So these are Chinese flutes. I mean, who doesn't know that? Okay. There's a guzheng. So looking up a guzheng, because I did have to employ Mr. Google for this, all right, it looks like somebody bred a lap steel guitar with a xylophone. So it's this ginormous thing that would take up this entire room that's all metal strings that kind of bing, bing, bing. In that way, as the band worded it, Chinese melodies, which to these thoroughly uneducated Western ears means slightly out of tune. That's kind of what that means. I don't know, I mean, I've nothing against that style of music, but to me, it always sounds on that edge of just do that with it a wee notch, just tune it a wee touch. But anyway, okay. And this gives their music the distinguished feel of Han Chinese tunes. Okay. Now, the band's motto would appear to be, we play folk metal for metal folks. I mean, Manowar wouldn't even say that, would they? Death to false folk. I mean, that's not going to happen, is it? You know? So the album that I have been given is General Triumphant. Now, I tried this the other night, it didn't work very well, but hopefully we can see the album art here, okay? Oh, look at this, there we are.
Pretty cool.
Because the album art is, I was going to say it's a samurai helmet, but that's the wrong folklore entirely. There you go.
Wrong country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the wrong country, but it's a warrior's helmet, and it's stunning, absolutely stunning. It's a thing of beauty. It really genuinely is. And you go on their Bandcamp page, and there are 3 releases. They've got 5, I think, on Bandcamp. There are 3 that are themed with similar helmets or headdresses. One, I think, is like a crown or a tiara. One is some sort of, I presume, spiritual headdress. One is the helmet that we see there on General Triumphant. And they are stunning. So this was released in 2017. It's their 2nd full studio album, okay? They've had a couple of EPs, one before, one after. But rather bizarrely, this band have managed to release 2 live albums and a compilation after their first album and an EP. Now that seems to me slightly self-indulgent. So the only conclusion that I can come away with is that Mr. Google has been banned by Chinese authorities from sharing the rest of this information with me, because that makes no sense. 2 live albums, not 1, but 2 live albums after a studio album and an EP.
Yeah, that's a little much. That doesn't make sense.
That's a little unusual, isn't it? Okay. So, not content with all that, this is a concept album. Okay. All right. So it focuses on a fictional general of an ancient army whose traits remind us of 3 famous historical figures: Cao Cao, the glorious warlord of the 3 Kingdoms period; Yao Fei, the national.
Wouldn't you say that Cao Cao was, with us from about 155 to about 2020? Those years. Would you say that?
He turned up here about 2:30, so I think he was slightly late.
I'd definitely say that's when he was alive, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes, that was exactly when that period was. Exactly. I presumed that everyone would know that, Simon.
Yeah, well, you've got to realise that we're pitching it to more than one audience here. Yeah.
I know, but this is a Sea of Tranquility audience. They're going to know this.
They've switched off already.
They're all currently going, world of filth. But anyway, so there's also Ye Fei or Yui Fei, Hui Fei. I'm sorry, okay? And I'm not taking the mic with that. I just don't know how to say these words. The national hero general of the Song dynasty. I presume no pun intended.
Yeah, 1103 to 1142.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
29 when he died.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. And Lin Chong. No.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
Older than I should be when I'm talking.
Did you grow up? Were you alive in the 1970s?
Yes.
Lin Chung is the hero from the Water Margin.
From the what?
With Brett Kwok.
Okay. I was alive in the 70s, but I was born in the 70s, Simon. Born in the 70s.
People,
really?
So
my televisual reference for this band, which is written further in these copious notes that I have, is that they kind of look like rejects from Monkey, if anyone has seen Monkey. Okay. Now, I don't know
never as good as the Rotomochi.
I don't know how far Monkey, which was Japanese bizarre superhero godlike, it was a series that was on here on BBC Two at 6 o'clock, which was all about Tripitaka and a monkey man, not just a monkey. He was a god, but he was punished, and he had a thing around his head. He was got tighter as a punishment. Anyway, so that's
we're definitely losing now.
Yeah, the band remind me in their dress, because they wear traditional dress, which is all kind of grey and green and kind of hats like this, which is all traditional. And I'm not taking the mick out of that because that is traditional dress, but they look a bit like, if anyone has seen Monkey, they look like Fish Face from Monkey. That's what they look like. Okay. So, but yes, see, here you go. Look, and he actually does look like Fish Face from Monkey when I see him close up.
Oh,
yeah. See, they mean it, man. Okay. This is because they play folk metal for metal folks.
Well,
that's why they look like.
Clearly, he's the one that's supposed to look a bit like Mick Mars.
He actually looks like he's just completed whatever illusion it is. You know, and like the stage disappeared behind him. Oh yeah, get in, fist bump. Okay, so anyway, the point being that Lin Chong is a fictional character out of the legendary ancient novel Water Margin. See, there you go, Simon. I think you've been reading my notes. Okay, the songs are more guitar-driven than the previous releases, and each song stands for its own qualities. Now, I'm quoting off the bands. They actually do have a Facebook page that you can go and read. Simon's been very kind to me. Okay, yet all in a way carefully constructed with contagious melodies and dazzling guitar solos. And I'll tell you what, they ain't wrong. Dazzling guitar solos, okay? Because Bao, and here's a sentence I never thought I'd ever say in my life, Bao can play. Right? This guy's a serious guitar player, okay? So they seem to have started out as a three-piece. Okay, so you had Shunzi on vocals, Bao on guitar, and I have no idea. You can't find out. They don't tell you. It's not anywhere. It might be in Chinese somewhere on their website, because the website is in Chinese. It's lots of information, none of which I can read. The only other band member that I can tell you about is Chao Zhiong, who is the pipa player. Okay, pipa, which
what?
Pipa, P-I-P-A. According to the pictures on their Facebook page, that is what you call the thing that she plays like this. Okay, keep it clean, people. Right, she plays it like this, right? And it does. To me, it sounds like a single plucked banjo. Kind of that same again, that metallic sound. It kind of rings on. I can't quite imagine Julian Pipa, but it's along those kind of lines. Okay, so along the way they've expanded into a six-piece. So there's vocals, two guitarists, bass, drums, keyboards, and a pipa. Okay, although the three non-original members that were in the band at this stage, they were all done away with. And there's another.
No, surely it's not like they were purged.
Well, I think they were, because they appear to have left on the same day.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sure they're still breathing.
I think the first rule of Dream Spirit is we don't talk about the band members.
Okay.
Okay, so that really, that's Dream Spirit. That's the band. Okay, so we could also, if you really want me to, we could talk about the album.
I want to hear more about the pipa thing. You know, so
Pipa. Okay. So
I want to see an impression of it. I don't like you do an impression of everything else. I really, with the noise.
Bing, 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 bing. So there are song titles such as The Expedition, Go Out to Battle, Rinsing Armour, right? We're rinsing the armour. I mean, you hear them rinse the armour. Okay. You imagine the blood being rinsed off the armour, okay? Of Daggers and Men. And spoilers, if anyone wants to follow the story, you need to be able to speak Chinese to follow the story, by the way. But if anyone wants to follow the story, cover your ears now, because the last song is called Song of Triumph. Okay, so we've given away the ending there. Okay.
I've got a beat.
And Back in the Room.
It all sounds very folk metal-y to me.
It's very folk metal-y, and that's exactly what it is. So in the main, this is hard-hitting, traditional heavy metal with a little bit of power metal but it's not too over the top. It's not cheesy. It's not like, say, for one of the bands we've spoken about in a previous show. This is not like Powerwolf. It's not and kind of that, not playing it for laughs, but kind of, this is the shtick, this is what we're going to do. There are some gruffer vocals, there are some clean vocals, but it's not, it's all kind of taken on, I would say, characters within this story that I can't tell you who's being sung on at what stage and what's happening and what we do. So you then add on top of that a lot of Chinese folk musicianship. So it is a real theme throughout. They tend to drive the melodies, the flutes there often. So that kind of plaintive flute. So even as we're going, there's a, but not as cheerful as that. It's definitely not as cheerful as that. It's much more down, the flute's much more downbeat, even as the riffs gallop and romp and rinse and blood and things.
It's pretty high up in the mix though, isn't it? There's a lot of flutes.
It's very high up in the mix. Sometimes it is the mix. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt that this is their melding of Chinese and Western, and it's to do that. It's to come together in the middle and give you, and I can't help but think, I mean, the Expedition starts the album, so it kicks things off. There's strings, there's Chinese flute, and what I'm guessing is the guzheng, because I don't really know. I can't tell which is the pipa and which is the guzheng. I'm really not sure, okay? It's very grand, it's quite kind of pompous, and I would suggest that it's almost like what a Westerner, an ignoramus like me, would think that Chinese music might sound like if you made it metal. It feels a little bit like Chinese metal, but it's not bad. I still really quite like it. And the guitar playing, phenomenal, okay? So from there we go out to battle. That's the name of the song, okay? I'm not fighting for anything. And it's very staccato. The riffs go dun, 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 and the vocals follow that path all the way through. They're quite gruff, energetic, but I can't quite help but think that it feels like a beefed up Disney movie. It kind of feels like we've got Mulan and given her a distortion pedal in places, but just in places. I mean, there's a whole.
I feel like parts of it sound like they could come from a James Cameron movie.
Yes.
It's bombast, right? Yeah.
It's bombastic, but it always tumbles into parodies on kind, because they definitely mean this, man. There's no piss taking on this album whatsoever. It's remarkably straight-faced for something that isn't particularly straight-faced, I would suggest. And I don't necessarily mean that as a criticism, because they do what they do very well. But in that song, as I say, there's a horse whinny, there's a bit of violin, and or whatever that may be at that stage. But then suddenly there's a killer guitar solo. And I mean a killer guitar solo. I mean, we're almost in shred territory here. But it's done more tastefully than that. It's done for the song. We're not just kind of going, do you know what, Bao can play, so let's let Bao play. He's still doing it within the song. And it's a real strength. And it shows you actually bands out there that I've certainly never heard of before. The talent that's out there is phenomenal. But it's a very storytelling album, right? So as I say, in Rinsing Armour, you do hear running water. There's more Chinese flute. They're kind of building into what the song is. That's maybe kind of, it joins into Alchemy, and that's a kind of symphonic metal song. It's more phenomenal. Yeah, there's lots of this kind of, because obviously we're telling a story and there's noises in the background all the way through, and I really like that. So yeah, you going hoi hoi hoi, I've written down hey hey hey, but it's the same idea. It's the same idea. And I've written underneath that, it's all a bit silly, but it's damn great fun. It's one of those you think, this is a bit stupid. Will I play it again? So then you've got Of Daggers, and that might be the heaviest thing on the show. There's a really massive riff there. It's punctuated by more flute, which I'm already beginning to think, I don't necessarily need all this flute. I kind of get the idea now. I know what we're doing. We're definitely Chinese. We're definitely using those themes. But
flutist? Is that what it is? You flutist? You anti-flute?
Well, I'm not anti-flute.
That's what I'm getting.
Well, no, I would say that I sit more in the flute. I sit more in the flute in moderation camp, of which there appears to be a growing body. Okay. But to me, the reason I find that quite difficult is because underneath all of that, there's a great guitar melody. So when the guitars are not ripping it out, the standard of playing is still there. There's a great melody underneath that. And when you kind of tune in, and I've listened to this album really quite a lot, you think, oh, actually, I didn't notice that before, because some of the more folk elements are a bit day-glow. They're a bit...
The keyboards are great on of Daggers and Men. They just really just underpin everything. It's just really, wow, what a sound. But then, like you said, as I wrote down, just more flute.
Yes. Yes,
There's kids.
Lots and lots of flute. Okay. So then you've got the longest song on the album, okay, which I think Morbid Souls. And if anyone has been, and I'll be a little bit sycophantic here, read any of my reviews on a band called Spiral, it reminded me of that, because suddenly we're almost in drone territory. This is just a guitar song that kind of goes, and for a bit of variation, it then kind of goes, and it does build to a crescendo, but I mean, we're talking after a week's worth of that. It kind of goes, and at that stage, I'm beginning to wonder if, we're actually just in pain. But it's interesting, and I presume it fits in with the story, and then you get the Majestic Star. Now, I like the start of the Majestic Star because it actually goes, and that noise is obviously, I presume, a shuriken hitting its target. You hear it into the flesh. This is a level of storytelling that we're getting as this stuff that I can't understand is being played out. It's more considered, it's kind of mid-paced, it's great fun, more fantastic guitars. The arrangements are really good on the whole album, other than the fact that the mix kind of loses it a little bit. And then eventually, there's a couple of songs where they kind of go, do you know what, I think people understand now that we have these and those and these, or I think they play them like that. Let's just play some metal. And I kind of like that, but at the same time, it made me realize that maybe what I'd really liked all along was that it was slightly different. Because when you remove that, it becomes, well, metal. And it doesn't stand out, but it's not terrible. And so it kind of made me reappraise everything that I'd thought about up till that point. But the closing song, which is Songs of Triumph, which is otherwise pretty strong, and kind of romps along, and it kind of picks up all the themes I've heard before. They have this idea of getting a gang vocal together, but it would appear that by this stage, because we're being triumphant, I'm guessing that everyone's drunk, because the main gang choral line kind of goes, and I quote, la 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 la. And I've written more of that. I actually have written lots of las with longer A's. There's some las in them, no religious reference there. And then at the bottom, I just kind of, I don't actually know what I've written, because by that stage, I think I was glued to L and A on the keyboard, because it just doesn't stop. It's not like they think, you know what, it's a little period where we think, actually, for a bit of colour and to kind of wrap our story up, we'll have some gang vocals that go la 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 la. They go la 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 a lot. And that really is it.
Can I ask you that, when you've had a tough day on the battlefield and you've emerged triumphant, do you not bring out the la-las? Do you not feel like, what can I do to celebrate that, this
seems like the right thing to do?
Yeah.
I like to keep my la-las to myself.
Let's la. Let's la.
No.
Come on, let's la.
No, Simon, my la-las are purely for my own enjoyment. Okay. So
no, we're not doing your album anymore. Just saying, la la la. Yeah.
So did I la la along with it? I la la'd along with it a lot. Yes.
So it begs the question, will you buy it? If you can. Will you listen to it online occasionally, or after this episode, we just forget all about it?
Well, I was nearly backed into a corner because I've been listening to this album on Bandcamp. So we've kind of had this bubbling in the background for quite some time. And I've listened to it that many times that last night when I thought I really actually need to write some of this down. I mean, people that have notes here, sorry, okay. That Bandcamp went, you've listened to this too many times now.
That was
Mr.
coming.
Reid. You may have to buy this album now. Now you can click no thanks once and you break its heart. It falls down. Oh, he's going to just steal the music, isn't he? Right? And I thought I listened to it again, and I thought there's just a couple of little la-las that I haven't heard. Okay, and I'm not quite sure if it goes bring on. I need to go back and listen to a cut, and it just wouldn't let me. It would not let me. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have to buy this so that I can write down more utter nonsense about this. And then YouTube saved my life because the whole album is available to stream for free on YouTube. So would I buy it? Would I stream it, or would I forget about it? You know, the la-las are so strong, I don't think I can ever forget about it because they are now imprinted into my brain. Being serious for a second, would I buy it? In years gone by, I'd have bought this because I quite liked, and I still do, different cultural elements introduced into music that opens doors into things that you'll never hear otherwise. I don't necessarily think that this is the right album of theirs to do that with. And I haven't yet, but I may well, if Bandcamp doesn't slap my hands, go and listen to a couple of earlier things, maybe one of the 72 live albums that they've now released or whatever it may be, to see if that balance is more in favour of the Chinese elements than it is the metal elements. So the honest answer is I will continue to stream it because it's fantastic fun. And I would like a copy because the artwork is phenomenal. But even with my curse, I can't quite justify buying the album because the helmet on the front is fantastic. And no, I'm not talking about World of Filth, Simon.
I'm going to shine my helmet.
Well, that's this one definitely banned.
I can do this shit as well. Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. I am impressed with because the reason why I even own this album is because my elder child lives in Beijing and saw them live, and apparently they're much heavier live. Now, he saw them and he thought, my dad will like that. So he bought it. He brought it over, and it's actually the only CD I ever have in my car. Which is weird, isn't it? Because I don't generally stream stuff, but this is the first time it's been out of the car for about 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? Practically since I got it. But just a couple of days ago, when I was during a brief period when I wasn't listening to Howling Willie, I got in touch with our Benjamin. You've met him in the comments down below.
I have met him in the comments, yes.
Yeah. And I said, can you find out what's are they still a going concern? What's going on? And he said, I will get Elena, that's his wife, to find some stuff out for you. And she didn't find out even nearly as much as you did. And she speaks fluent Mandarin. She is Chinese. She didn't come up with anywhere near as much good stuff as that. However, I can confirm that they are still going. They've recently filmed a music video for a song called Artisan, which you can't get over here, but I have heard, and it's pretty rocky. I didn't really check out the flute quotient, but I will get back to you on that.
What's worth mentioning as well is that because I went down the rabbit hole of this band, I've been doing nothing but dreaming of spirits in recent days. Again, is that the amount of festivals that appear to happen in China is, in my ignorance, you don't think there's a scene over there, but they play lots of outdoor festivals. The crowds look ginormous and massively into it. They sound tremendous live, and they have done some big European festivals too. And I could see them being massive in Europe. If they can get proper coverage in mainland Europe, they are just that right side of power metal and, let's be honest, cheese to, I think, go over big in mainland Europe. And if they can get that back in there, we might hear an awful lot more about Dream Spirit. They're really good, and I'm intrigued to hear more, but there's too many little moments on this album that kind of made me go, to say that I love it.
They definitely sound unique. So we got one really unique odd band, and then we got the offensive other release. Interesting episode here today, everybody. So so there you have it, the rematch.
Interesting. I'm not putting it up. That's what it means.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah.
Figure that out, right? Whatever your definition of interesting is. So there you have it, everybody. Another entertaining show with these two gentlemen. Some interesting albums. This is on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Thanks to Stephen and Simon for doing their homework. I am Pete Pardo. See you all real soon. Have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.